Sachin Labade yet again, and this time I will be discussing with you a crucial aspect of the fourth module on research for social transformation. In the previous session, you were given exposure to a major component of educational research, namely the latest quantitative and qualitative research technologies. This session will introduce you to one of the most relevant and vibrant areas of research, that is, competency and problem based research training. In other words, action research. Let me ask you this: have you ever felt during or at the end of an academic program, be it conventional degree or vocational or technical one, that you have a situation where your target learners have difficulty in acquiring desired competencies? Or do you ever feel that the abilities that your learners demonstrate and the abilities that the target profession demands do not quite match? And did you try to find a remedy or a solution to such a problem instead of shrugging your shoulders? Well, I'm sure that you have an affirmative answer to these questions, because being in the academics, it is a part and parcel of our experiences, and we make an attempt to deal with problem situations in our own individual way. This is the most fertile ground for a kind of research that attempts to bring about a desirable transformation and contributes to the effectiveness of education that is imparted. It is this aspect that we will now take into account. So, what we will do in this session is, 1, make an attempt to get a comprehensive idea of what is called action research and its relevance in higher education. Then we will take a look at the process of conducting action research. Finally, we will demonstrate with a sample how action research can be conducted. So let's begin. We will begin with this very notion of action research. Though there is a lack of sufficient literature to trace the origins of action research, but generally Kurt Lewin, who developed a model known as unfreeze, change, refreeze in 1940s, is considered the father of action research. Action research provides an alternative approach to bringing about changes in knowledge, policy, and practice. But to be effective and inclusive, taking into account complex dynamics of power and participation, action research requires capable facilitators with particular skills, such as the ability to give attention to personal and collective processes of reflection and action. Action research is a type of inquiry that is, 1, practical, as it involves making change to practice. On the other hand, theoretical, as it is informed by theory and can generate new insights. It is concerned with change and improvement. Action research aims to contribute both to practical concerns of people in an immediate problematic situation and to further the goal of social science simultaneously. Thus, there is a dual commitment in action research to study a system and at the same time to collaborate with members of the system in changing it in what is together regarded as desirable direction. Accomplishing this twin goal requires the active collaboration of researcher and client, and thus it stresses the importance of co-learning as a primary aspect of research process. Action research, thus, is a formative study of progress commonly practiced by teachers, whether at school or university level. Now, you must have this question in your mind as to why is action research useful to my practice? The research scholar Dad remarks that, and I quote, "The potential of research is in its processes and outcomes to transform the emotional dispositions of people toward each other, such that more positive feelings are created between them in the form of greater empathy." Well, action research can help you to engage with others better. It can help you to learn more about a practice based topic such as interactive teaching methods, or say assessment rubrics, teaching through technology. It can also help you to learn more about research methods and have a wider range of methods that we can draw on in future. Moreover, it can make a real difference to practice by enabling changes that improve the student experience and other aspects of practice. So now, having understood the significance of action research for us as educators, let us move to the next step in understanding the process involved in action research. Now, there are certain core components that we need to take into consideration when we think of action research. There are many ways in which action research can be practiced in particular setting. It is a cyclical process that never ends, but always provides a conclusion with more ideas to bring upon progress and improvement. Whatever the settings and participants are, usually it has been carried out into 4 consecutive phases. The figure that you see is simple action research model. It is taken from Dan McIsaac 1995 model, which shows the cyclical nature of the typical action research process. Each cycle has 4 steps: plan, act, observe, reflect. As I said that each cycle, it means there could be the second cycle, there could be third cycle, depending on how further you wish to take your research. Now let us take a look at a sample of an action research project. Let us try and understand the process of action research through this example. There was a research project conducted by a group of language instructors in Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. The focus was on training effective writers of business English through interactive feedback. The problem that they identified was that in their years as writing consultants, the instructors had found numerous problems in students' business writings, in that they did not often meet their writing purposes, or essential information was missing, or tone was inappropriate, or set phrases inserted were inappropriately. So the next thing that they did is that they created a plan, and the plan was to design a 4-week intensive business letter writing course to help students overcome the problems in their business letters. This led to the act, and the act was the course introduced a number of innovations over 2 trials. It included situation analysis, reader centeredness in editing, and interaction feedback. The next thing that they did was observe. Now what they observed was the effectiveness of the course. It was measured in terms of students' attitude and performance before and after the course. performance was monitored over an extended period. And then this led to the final stage in the first cycle, and that was reflect. Results from the trials were positive and encouraging. Students showed significant improvement in the content and tone of the letters they produced. Having seen this example, now I would like you to pause this video and take a look at the following task. Do a web search or library search to see a number of disciplines and professions that make use of this approach. Make a list of at least 3 disciplines and 5 professions. After doing so, you can resume the video. Now that you have done this activity, you must have noticed that action research is not restricted only to teaching learning experiences or only to a few disciplines and few professions. So the scope of action research is wider. It is not only limited to the classroom situations, but it goes beyond classroom situations, and therefore it leaves us as lifelong learners through our experiences and experiments. Now let us take a look at what we have discussed so far. Our discussion on the concept of action research shows, 1, that it is change or transformation driven phenomenon. 2, it is useful in self, learner and situational institutional development. And 3, it is a cyclical process with insightful conclusions at every turn.